You can get all excited about lifting 200 pounds till you get to the gym. And then you need a new excitement. And the new excitement is called discipline. A major step to human progress, discipline. Start with the little disciplines. Get excited over the little disciplines and get right on those, because those will lead to the big ones. You can't handle the big challenges in life unless you take on the little ones. You make a list of all the things you can do. Get right on those. Discipline yourself for those, both for the results and for the muscle and for the practice. So when life hands you some big challenges, you'll be ready. You'll have self-discipline. We might add one more word here. Consistent self-discipline. If we don't make consistent self-discipline part of our daily lives, the results we seek will be sporadic and elusive. It takes a consistent effort to truly manage our valuable time, or we'll be consistently frustrated. Our time will be eaten up by others whose demands are stronger than our own. It takes discipline to conquer the nagging voices in our minds. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty, the fear of a broken heart. It takes discipline to keep trying. When that nagging voice within us brings up the possibility of failure, it takes discipline to admit our errors and recognize our limitations. It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day. Every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable. They act like a nearly unbreakable instinct that only long-term disciplined activity can change. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, and pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts within yourself. Never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline. It's easier to go to bed late, sleep late, show up late, and leave early. It's easier not to read. It's easier to turn on the television than to open a book. It's easier to do just enough than to do it all. Waiting is always easier than acting. Trying is always easier than doing. Imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to make our bed in the morning, or keep our garage clean, or pay our lives work tomorrow. Wouldn't it be fascinating if we didn't have to do these things? What do you suppose would become of us? Our world is and always will be a constant battle between the life of ease and its momentary rewards, and a life of discipline and its far more significant rewards. The first lesson of discipline is that it isn't the easiest option. The second lesson of discipline is that it's a full-time activity. And we've said that the best form of discipline is consistent self-discipline. You see, the discipline that it takes to make your bed every day is the same discipline necessary for success in the world of business. All disciplines carry through to affect all parts of our lives. If we're disciplined in just one area and are lazy in another, guess what? Pretty soon, the lazy side will creep in and destroy the disciplined side. The bad habits in one area of our life will eventually destroy our self-discipline in the areas we've been working on. Discipline is the mind being trained to control our lives. Discipline is imposing on ourselves the requirements for honoring these standards. Once we've adopted these standards of behavior and conduct, we're committed to honor them. And if we don't, then there can be no disciplined activity. We tell our kids that the TV is rotting their minds, yet we spend our evenings in front of it. We tell our employees that they must take advantage of every minute of the working day, yet we spend 3 hours at lunch. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us. And more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility with the only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all. These people seem to wander aimlessly, changing procedures, changing standards, and shifting frequently from one commitment to another, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships, unfinished projects, and unfulfilled promises. All because of a discipline that was either non-existent or imposed so infrequently that it was ineffective. Here's the third step to becoming consistently self-disciplined, is really a philosophy that holds one of life's unique promises. Number 3 simply says, for every disciplined effort, there is a multiple reward. That's one of life's great arrangements. It's like the law of sowing and reaping. In fact, it's an extension of the biblical law that says, if you sow well, you reap well. Here's a unique part of the law of sowing and reaping. Not only does it suggest that we'll all reap what we've sown, but it also suggests that we'll reap. Life is full of laws that both govern and explain behaviors. But this may well be the major law we need to understand. For every disciplined effort, a multiple reward. If you render unique service, if you're fair and honest and patient with others, your reward will be multiplied. If you give more than you expect to receive, your reward is more than you expect. Everything of value requires discipline. Our thoughts require discipline. We must set up our inner boundaries. Our codes of conduct or our thoughts will be confused, and with confused thoughts, we'll end up being confused, hopelessly lost in the maze of confused thoughts produce confused results. Perhaps you're on the brink of giving up or starting over or starting out. And the only missing ingredient to your incredible success story in the future is a new and self-imposed discipline that will make you stay longer, try hard, and work more intensely than you ever thought you possibly could. The most valuable form of discipline is the one that you impose on yourself. Don't wait for things to deteriorate so drastically that someone else must impose discipline into your life. When the alarm clock goes off, you get up, you get out of bed, and you go do what you're supposed to do. I don't care how it feels. I don't care if it's easy or hard. It doesn't even matter to me. It's just a reaction, a discipline, and it's life. And that's the way I choose to live my life. People who are going to be really successful in the future are willing to make sacrifices in the present in order to guarantee that future. They are willing to invest and save their money, even though they don't have a lot, knowing that with compound interest it will grow and grow over time. They're willing to spend an enormous amount of time investing in their children, knowing that this investment in their children in time and love and affection and support will pay off for decades and generations, even into the lives of their children and grandchildren. So, sacrifice is the critical word, and sacrifice means that you have the ability to discipline yourself. You have the ability to delay gratification in the short term so that you can enjoy far greater rewards in the long term. And the wonderful thing is, when you practice self-discipline, it actually makes you happy to practice self-discipline, to take control of yourself and make yourself do the right thing and complete it. You feel good about yourself in the moment. And of course, the effect that it has on your future can be tremendous. What is it that unsuccessful people don't like? Well, it turned out to be the same thing that successful people don't like to do either. But they do it anyway because they recognize that that's the price of success. A simple thing like exercising, going for a run or a walk at the end of the day. Well, do people like to do this? Do we look forward to exertion and perspiration and sweating and strain and everything else? No, we don't look forward to it, but we do it because we recognize that this is the price of looking and feeling fit, trim, living a long life, taking good care of our bodies. And so remember, the same things that unsuccessful people don't like to do are things you don't like to do either. And again, it comes back to our favorite words: sacrifice, being willing to pay the price in the present to enjoy the great rewards in the future. All right, the next personal quality that assures success is you must determine the price that you will have to pay in order to be successful, and then resolve to pay that price. For every single thing you want in life, there's a price, and there's a price that has to be paid. And the price is invariably hard work. Many people say, well, geez, look at that person. They've got the nice house and the nice car. You never realize that behind the scenes, that person was probably working 16, 18 hours a day, probably for 5 years before they got their break and 5 years after they got their break. All you see is the end result, the nice house and the nice car. The reason I mention this is sometimes people start a business, they think, well, I'm sure I'll have to work a couple of extra hours a day. Well, as somebody once told me, when you start your own business, you only have to work half the time. You only have to work half days. From that aisle, and you can decide which 12 hours it's. In a recent study, they found that in our society, you work 8 hours a day for survival, when everything over that, you work for success. If you're only working 8 hours a day, you won't do anything more than survive. Every additional hour, whether you're working for yourself or someone else, is for success. And so it's very important that you keep putting in those additional hours, whether it's extra reading, extra study, extra work. In the military academies, whenever you are confronted with a senior officer and let's say your tie is askew or your jacket is not ironed, that's a cadet, why is your jacket not ironed? You are not allowed to say any other words to a senior officer except, yes, sir, I will do it. No, sir, I didn't do it, and no excuses, sir. And that's how they train the top officers in the world, is yes, sir, no excuses, because they know that nothing makes a person weaker or littler than always making excuses. No leader could be a leader if all they did was make excuses. There is a turning point in your life where you become an adult or you remain a child, and it's like a line that you cross. You come up to this line, and on one side of the line, the other side of the line is responsibility, where you are now responsible for the rest of your life. On this side of the line is blaming others for your problems. Blaming is the major source of negative emotions and unhappiness and stress and failure. Accepting responsibility is the major reason for happiness, personal power, and when you step across the line, you say, from now on, I accept complete responsibility for my life and for everything that happens to me. If you have a goal, you accept responsibility for achieving the goal. If you have a problem, you accept responsibility for solving the problem. But whatever happens, you don't blame other people. Blaming makes you weak and angry. It makes you feel inferior and insecure. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Life without balance results in an unbalanced life. Walking around the block every day is good. Walking or running 6 hours a day is bad. It's obsessive unless, of course, you make your living as a marathon runner, working hard, burning the midnight oil, doing it until it's good. Working nonstop. Never taking a vacation, never having any fun, never spending quality time with the people you love, working, day after day, month after month, never taking a break. Year after year is bad if you've got your nose to the grindstone all the time. How are you ever going to spot new opportunities? Consider new ideas. You've got to stop and ponder where you've been and where you're going. You've got to reflect so you know if you're even on the right track. If you're always working, you must be successful. No, it doesn't work that way for workaholics. They can work 10, 12, 14 hours a day, take 2 jobs, work them back to back. The only satisfaction is fighting off sleep, denying life's pleasures, getting more tasks done. These people are generally more task-oriented than results. Workaholics generally end up alienating their families, losing their health. Of course, when you schedule your time and take advantage of your time, you can work smarter instead of working longer, and you'll probably end up getting more done than the workaholic and still have time for other things in life. Now here's the key technique that you can use in your life to help keep you on the right. This technique is called visual chain thinking. Ambitious people don't see each step toward their goals as a singular step. Each discipline is a singular discipline, each project is a singular project, each sale is a singular sale. With everything they do, and with every discipline they adhere to, they see it as part of a chain, a link in the chain of events and actions that will lead them to their final destination. Every action and every discipline today is a link in the chain. Every action and every discipline tomorrow is a link. Every action and every discipline in the future is a link. When you can see that every link in the chain will eventually lead you to the things you want most out of life, to the person you want to become, then you won't grow discouraged or fearful or impatient with. When you can see where you're going through visual chain thinking, even on the toughest days, you'll keep building your ambition by knowing where you're going, not just where you are today. Part of this visual chain thinking is built when you decide on your direction, when you can see where you're going to end up before you get there. Your plans and goals are your visual chain, knowing where you're going before you get there. I'm about to reveal a secret to you, an ingredient that is missing from most of the success formulas out there today. Without this magic ingredient, your dreams and goals fall flat. But with this magic ingredient, you can accomplish anything and everything you want to, and it's called self-discipline. There are several disciplines that you need to develop if you want to achieve your full potential. So the first discipline of all is the discipline of clear thinking versus fuzzy thinking. The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions and choices. Your decisions and choices determine the actions you take. The actions you take determine your results. Your results determine the quality of your life, and it all starts with your thinking clearly. I'm always amazed when I go down the street or fly or drive as people seem totally immersed in listening to things. They've got devices in their ears, stuff on their cell phones. They're listening to music in their car, they're watching television. They simply cannot stop bombarding their mind with sensory input. And of course, when you're doing that, it is impossible for you to think well. To think well requires that you practice a couple of techniques. Peter Drucker said you need to take time to think. The rule is that fast decisions are usually wrong decisions, especially fast decisions involving people or money are usually wrong decisions. So if you're going to make a decision that has long-term consequences, then you have to give it a lot of thought. You have to sort of look at it like a beautiful piece of porcelain. You look at it from every single side and think about it carefully. The more carefully you think about a decision, the better the quality of that decision will be when you finally make it. One of the very best ways that you can develop the discipline of clear thinking is to sit in solitude for 30 to 60 minutes. When you have a major problem or a major issue in your life, you'll start to go calm, and all the energy, all the fidgetiness will disappear. It's almost like a bucket full of silty water. If you leave it sit there for a while, the water goes completely clear. This is what happens to your mind. Your mind goes completely clear, and after the 30-minute point, ideas will start to flow like a river, just start to flow through your mind. At a certain point, ideas will start to come, and almost like a boat in a gentle pond. The idea that you need to solve your biggest problem or to achieve your most important goal will dock in your mind. It is the most amazing darn thing. You've never done it before. The first time you do it, you'll get a result. You'll get an insight, an idea, a solution to a problem, an idea to solve a goal. Every time you sit quietly in solitude for 30 to 60 minutes, you'll get ideas that may save you years of hard work. Another way to think back. Take a sheet of paper, and the rule is think on paper. Write down every detail. As you're writing out all the details, sometimes exactly the right choice pops out at you. It becomes clear, but you would not have triggered that super conscious solution if you hadn't taken the time to think on paper. Aristotle once said that wisdom, which is the greatest of all human desires, is the ability to make good decisions. The key to good thinking: be open to doing something completely different. Be open to admitting the possibility that you could be wrong and doing something completely different. And what that does is it opens up your mind and your perspective. You can see all kinds of possibilities that you may not have seen before. So clear thinking is the first discipline. It is the discipline practiced by the most successful, happiest, and wealthiest people in our society. The second major discipline is the discipline of daily goal setting. Write out your goals. A wish is merely a goal without any energy behind it. So have your goals in writing. Write them out very specifically and clearly. Then do this every single morning. Rewrite your major goals in the first person singular as though they already existed. For instance, if your goal is to earn $50,000 a year every single morning, right? I earn $50,000 a year. Then every single evening, take about 5 to 10 minutes, sit down and review what you've done in the course of the day and ask yourself, what have I done right today that's moved me toward my goals? Those 4 steps, by the way, are writing and rewriting your goal each morning, reviewing them in the evening and asking yourself those 2 questions. What did I do that moved me toward my goals today? And what would I do differently if I had the day to live over? If you'll ask yourself those 2 questions in the next 30 days, you'll accomplish more than you accomplished in the last 6 months. Because every time you write your goals down, you're programming them into your subconscious mind. When you program them into your subconscious mind, you set up a field of vibration within your brain. This law of attraction, based on this field of vibration, attracts into your life people and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts. The 3rd discipline is the discipline of courage. You have the ability, you have the willingness to confront your fears. Mark Twain said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Fear and courage tend to be habits. If you are afraid and you give in to the fear and you back away, it becomes a habit to back away whenever you're afraid or unsure. On the other hand, if you're afraid and you force yourself to confront the fear, it becomes a habit to confront the fear whenever you find something that you're afraid of. You'll find that most fears disappear when you confront them. Fears of failure, fears of rejection, fears of loss, fears of pain, fears of limitation, fears of the loss of a relationship. And you realize that the fear was in your own mind. Here's an exercise for you. Identify one fear situation in your life today and use that as your challenge. Use that as your test case. And once you've done that, you'll look up and you'll be a different person for the rest of your life. You'll know that nothing that you're afraid of can stop you. The 4th discipline is the discipline of daily time management. Disciplining yourself to plan your day thoroughly before you begin will save you at least 10 minutes for every minute you spend in planning. According to the research, it will increase your productivity by 25 to 50%, maybe even double your productivity. Every day, make a list. Write down everything you have to do in the course of the day. The very best time to make this list is the night before. If you do this, then your subconscious mind works on your plan all night long, and you often wake up in the morning with great ideas to implement your plan. Then you organize your list by priority. Use the 80-20 rule that says 20% of the items on your list will account for 80% of the value. Identify the most valuable tasks. This is the hardest of all. You can start every morning with a list organized by priority and start on your number 1 task and stay with it till it's done. You will supercharge your life. You will release endorphins in your brain that cause you to feel great. You will motivate yourself, energize yourself, and propel yourself into all your other tasks. You'll get twice as much done on any day where you start and complete your major task first thing than the discipline of time management was then spread to all your other disciplines. When you can demonstrate that you have the self-discipline to start and complete your most important task, you just feel fabulous about yourself. Now, the 5th discipline is the discipline of regular saving and investing. One of the smartest things that you can ever do for yourself is to develop the habit of saving part of your salary every single paycheck. Individuals, families, and even societies are stable and prosperous to the degree to which they save money. Savings today are what guarantee the security and the possibilities of tomorrow. The first corollary of the law of saving and becoming a money-saving expert comes from the book The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. It is to pay yourself. First, begin to save 10 of your earnings off the top and never touch it. This is your fund for long-term financial accumulation. and you never use it for any other reason except to assure your financial future. The remarkable thing is that when you pay yourself first and force yourself to live on the other 90%, you actually promote frugal living. You'll soon become accustomed to living on 90% without any loss of convenience or anything else. Remember, you're a creature of habit. When you regularly put away 10 of your earnings, you soon become comfortable living on the other 90%. Many people start by saving 10% of their income and then graduate to saving 15, 20, and even more. And their financial lives change dramatically as a result, and so will you. Now, here's an interesting point, and I learned this from one of the smartest money managers I ever met. He said, when we're young, we associate money with pleasure. We get our first allowance, we go and spend it on candy or things that make us feel good. Now, when we become adults, whenever we think of getting a lot of money, our first thought is spending it on something that makes us happy. If you go to a tourist resort where people are on vacation and having a good time, they're just lying street after street after street of knickknacks and gadgets and junk because people, when they're happy, associate going out and buying stuff. However, what this does is it keeps you broke all your life. So what you do, this is what he told me, is you rewire yourself. You kind of pull out one wire and replug it in, and you say, instead of saying, I like spending money, you say, and you begin to think of how much you enjoy having money in the bank, how much you enjoy saving, how much you enjoy delayed gratification, how much you enjoy the idea of moving toward financial independence. And when you develop the habit of being happy about saving money, you start to find yourself more and more careful with your expenditures. Soon you develop the habit of living on less than you earn, and you change your thinking from I enjoy spending to I enjoy saving. There's a Japanese proverb that says, making money is like digging in the sand with a pin. Losing money is like pouring water on the sand. It's easy to lose money, but it's hard to make it and keep it. And it's the most important discipline of all. Another discipline is to pay cash as often as possible. And for as much as possible, get rid of all your credit cards except for one and only use that one when you have to. The very act of paying cash really hypersensitized you to how much it's touched and causes you to spend less money. W. Clement Stone once said, if you cannot save money, the seeds of greatness are not in you. The primary reason why you save your money and accumulate it carefully is because it gives you two things. First of all, it gives you freedom. You know you've got money in the bank. If you don't like your job, you can walk away from it because you've got money in the bank. But the second thing it gives you is opportunity. If an opportunity comes along, you're prepared to take advantage of it. You don't have to say, I'm sorry, I don't have any money, I can't afford it, I'm broke. And people just shake their head in pity and walk away. As an adult, you should always have opportunity money put aside. And when you have it, you feel great about yourself. The difference between a person with a little money and a person with no money is night and day. A person with a little money feels great. A person with no money always feels inferior, anxious, worried, concerned, irritable, short-tempered. Now, the sixth discipline is the discipline of continuous learning. What takes you from rags to riches is personal development. In the 21st century, as Peter Drucker says, knowledge and skill are the keys to success. And the only thing that will be relevant in the 21st century is the ability to learn new skills. Virtually everything you know is becoming obsolete at a rapid rate. Stephen Covey says that your current knowledge base has a half-life of 2 years, which means that half of everything you know will be irrelevant within 2 years and 2 years from now. So if you're not continually learning and upgrading your knowledge and skills, you're not staying in the same place. As Pat Riley, the basketball coach, says, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You're not constantly learning, you're actually falling behind. Here are the 3 keys to continuous learning. Number 1 is to read in your field 30 to 60 minutes each day. In other words, turn off the television, turn off the radio, put aside the newspaper and just read in your field. The very best places to read, by the way, are books. Read books written by the most successful people in your field because books contain a wealth of riches that can enable you to function at a far higher level and get much better results than you could before. Countless people over the years have found that reading an hour a day has doubled and tripled their income within a year. The second thing you do is take every course that you possibly can in the courses and seminars available to you in your field, given by professionals, have been developed over years and have been tested and tested. Watching the person who is talking to you for several hours has spent thousands of hours learning their subject, and they have test run this with thousands of other people. When you take a course, you can learn enough information in 1 or 2 days, more than you could learn in 2 or 3 years, or maybe even a lifetime, all distilled and put together. People say, I can't afford a course, but you cannot afford not to buy books or go to course. The third way that you can upgrade your skills is by listening to audio programs in your car. Here's an interesting point. The more you commit yourself to becoming the best person you can be, the more you like yourself and respect yourself. The more energy you have, the bigger goals you set for yourself, and the more you persist. When you invest in yourself, read, learn, and upgrade your skills, you're telling yourself, wow, I am a person with a great future, and it's up to me to maximize my potential. Your self-esteem goes up. Your self-respect goes up. Your sense of personal pride goes up, and you start to get promoted more and paid more in every part of your life. Now, the seventh discipline is the discipline of hard work. There's nothing that will help you more than for you to develop a reputation as a hard worker. In the studies of self-made millionaires, they said they didn't have better education, better talent, or better knowledge, but they were willing to work harder than anyone else. Most self-made millionaires work 60 and 70 hours per week for 5, 10, 15 years before they break through. Most other people are trying to get by on 5 days a week, and during those 5 days a week, they don't work very hard at all. The interesting thing, Thomas Jefferson once said, "Do you believe in luck?" He was asked, and he said, "Yes, I believe in luck." He said, "The harder I work, the more that I have. So the harder you work, the luckier you get. The harder you work, the more opportunities you have. The more doors open up to you, the more opportunities you see." There's a thing sweeping America today about having fun at work. No, work is not a fun time. Work is not the playpen or the sandbox. Work is not school. Work is work. What you do is you go to work and you work all the time. Don't worry about fun. Have your fun later, knowing that you've done a fantastic job and gotten a lot done. And finally, work 1 hour later.